Diagnostics from clinical labs to your home, well, specifically your bathroom. This is like a hospital,
Yeah.
okay? Realizing that their next ER setting is in a group chat.
This is not a marriage of equals by any stretch of the imagination. I was actually invited to moderate a panel by the American Medical Association at South by Southwest, and the CEO was on the panel, and I asked him the question, knowing fully well that the AMA has even issues with pharmacists prescribing. So clearly they will not be a huge fan of, an AI doing
Especially when the company
refills.
says I'm the AI doctor.
Hello and welcome to DeBunked, where we analyze the last month's healthcare news with a healthy dose of skepticism. Today we begin with mergers and acquisitions news. We didn't cover this, Samir, when this was actually announced, but we're covering it now that the deal has actually closed. So Abbott Labs is buying Exact Sciences for a whopping $21 billion. Now, some of us still watch television. You've seen those ads on TV where they talk about get your colon cancer screening in a way that will not involve the heavy bowel prep and invasive colonoscopy. Those ads are made by Exact Sciences, which has this at-home stool kit,
Cologuard.
essentially. Cologuard, that's exactly what it's called. And, this is great from the perspective of Abbott because they've been sort of going slowly into cancer detection. They have another test which is not for colon cancer, but it's for tracking whether breast cancer survivors have a recurrence of breast cancer. So now this takes them into early cancer detection. So, of course, it's important to know that this test does not replace the colonoscopy. That is the gold standard. However, it is one more tool in our arsenal. So, Samir, one sentence reaction. Don't pretend. Don't pretend.
No.
How do you make this PG?
Diagnostics from clinical labs to your home, well, specifically your bathroom.
His mind is always in the gutter, right? Anyway, all right. Next, we have Universal Health Services, which is a behavioral health hospital operator, which announced its plan to buy virtual health company Talkspace, for $835 million. I think it's an interesting deal. I mean, it's almost like they're saying that, we have to own the whole mental health from end to end.
Yeah.
And the more I think about it, it makes sense because mental health from a virtual care perspective has been the one category that has sustained in terms of level of usage even beyond the pandemic. Because during the pandemic, many people did telehealth for a whole bunch of different reasons. But after that, they all sort of tanked. But mental health as a category, I think, has still sustained. So I thought that was it was a smart deal. Your take?
Before I do the take, I'd love to hear a price sometimes that's like $839 and $99. Like, why not like that? Why is it got to be like some, come on.
Well,
97 cents.
It's not a
this was 835 million and 97 cents. Why not? Why can't they do that? Why can't they be specific?
Totally irrelevant to the discussion, but go ahead.
Of course. Okay, my take. Sure. This is like a hospital.
Yeah.
Okay. Realizing that their next ER setting is in a group chat.
Okay.
No, but honestly, this is smart, right? Evolve from brick and mortar to click to counseling.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just full extension.
Yeah.
Full life cycle. I mean, for somebody like them, UHS has regular hospitals too, but their sort of focus lately has been
on acute care, very much,
acute
right?
care, behavioral health.
Yeah.
They operate a lot of behavioral health hospitals, so I think it just makes sense. It's completely in line with it.
Okay.
And I mean, you gotta admit, the cost basis is going to be better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. So then we come to the last of these sort of mergers and acquisitions news, and that too, I felt it was interesting because this was something that we haven't seen in a while. So this is Sutter Health in the Bay Area buying Allina Health, which is mainly headquartered in Minnesota, but it also has some locations in western Wisconsin. It'll create this 39-bed, $26 billion combined nonprofit entity. 39 hospitals, no, not 39 beds, sorry. 39 hospitals, yes. 39 beds would be really,
Wow, it's huge.
really bad.
Big price point for 39 beds.
Exactly. So 39 hospitals, let me correct myself. 26 billion entity, but this is not a marriage of equals by any stretch of the imagination. Of the combined 26 billion in revenue, nearly 20 comes from Sutter.
Yeah.
Now, I've lived in Minneapolis for several years and area suburbs, and now, of course, I live in the Bay Area where Sutter Health. The cultures of the two places couldn't be more different. So I think it's wise that Sutter is deciding to keep the Allina brand name and keep the operations, continuing. But it's been a few years since we've seen this sort of cross state, cross geography merger.
Cross-region,
yeah, exactly. You know why? I mean, the last 4 years ago, the last such cross-border hospital merger was the Atrium Health and Advocate Health deal.
Yeah,
that was back in 2022. Also, $27 billion dollar entity was created. But that was 4 years ago. In the middle, there was another sort of failed attempt, Fairview and Sanford in Upper Midwest. So, I mean, I thought it was interesting. You don't agree?
It's interesting. It's just lacking sizzle.
Lacking sizzle. Okay,
okay, but honestly, I mean, I think you have to sort of break down the whys, right? Like, what are you getting from each party?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, from an Allina perspective, right? Who you got in your backyard? You got Mayo, Fairview. You got a lot of horsepower in the backyard.
True.
They can't really compete on tech innovation.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just limited, okay, in terms of their size.
Right.
And Sutter has been doubling, tripling down on digital health AI strategy.
Yeah.
Right? So, Allina, you're getting that, right? And part of the press release actually said, right, $2 billion significant investment and
that Sutter is going to make.
That Sutter is going to make to the area. So I think that's definitely going to go towards those sorts of things, probably.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right? Allina also has a different sort of local talent skill set.
Yeah.
Very much around med tech and engineering, right? Midwest is sort of
very
got
much
that.
So. Yep.
And then you look at Sutter, right? And you're like, okay, Sutter, what you getting?
Yeah.
What you buy? What are you getting out of this? I mean, look.
It's all scale, right?
It's scale, but you're getting buying power from a negotiations perspective on insurance.
Oh, true.
On cost, right? And here's the interesting thing. You mentioned the advocate thing. They're able to avoid another issue and rule that maybe was part of the Fairview Sanford thing not happening.
Yeah.
Around the advocate thing, there was a study done that showed that if you do cross-market growth in the same state, it actually increases your pricing by 10%.
Which is why many people, I think that was why that deal got settled, the Fairview Sanford. Because
so this makes sense, right? You're not even in neighboring regions. So you're not going to worry about that. You're going to get to take advantage of that. And I think the other thing for Sutter too is you're expanding capacity from a talent pool perspective, physician pool perspective.
True.
You're getting the ability to sort of do a lot of that, streamline it, sort of, lay your cost across this newly oriented system, right? And then of course increases buying power. So, initially I was just like, this is boring, it didn't make sense. But then I was like, let me actually look into this. It actually makes sense.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, this is what new future system builds should be. Like, you actually maybe should not be eating your neighbor. You should be going somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I mean, like the whole Geisinger, KP, Risent thing.
Yes.
It's similar. It's like Cone, you got Geisinger, you got KP over here. Like, they're not attached, they're not bordering.
Yeah.
The advocate thing was interesting, right? It's like a sweeping model, right? Like, you have advocate and Aurora. Aurora is up there. So it's Aurora, Advocate.
And then Atrium.
And then you go Atrium into the Carolinas, Georgia, South Carolina market. So, and people say that they're
and Advocate and Aurora, they're all in Illinois, right?
They're all Illinois.
Yeah.
Advocate Aurora is in Illinois, but it's also up north, right? I think it's into Wisconsin too.
Oh,
Aurora was, right?
Aurora was, I think you're right.
So you kind of got this, and they're probably not done either. A lot of people are these.
I mean, how many hospitals consolidations how many standalone hospitals are left?
I mean, I think there's still, I think you have to, I think, dissect it from, are you wholly owned or are you governed? Are you under the system? Do you have benefits? Do you have affiliations?
Yeah.
If you take all that into account, I mean, it's probably like, I don't know, 80-90% of the market is like done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You have specialized places that can stand alone because they're brands, right?
Right.
Like cancer hospitals, children's hospitals.
Sure.
And then I think there are some very profitable standalone community hospitals that are trying to, maybe struggling to stay independent.
Yeah.
That are very profitable hospitals. But, at some point, affiliation has to enter the picture. But from a Sutter perspective, it's just that no one, at least me, I didn't expect it. I don't think of Sutter as like this aggressive, mover. But I also think it was a stalled organic growth. Oh, let me just buy and add through CapEx.
Yeah. Which is what most established organizations do anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So now we go from acquisition to divestitures, or at least the intent to sell.
Yeah.
Providence, both a provider and a payer, has decided to sell off its health insurance business.
Yeah.
The provider side is making money, but apparently the payer side is not. I mean, they had a loss of 102 million on revenues of 2.5 billion. I believe this was last year. And so, I mean, I find this desire to get out of the payvider system curious, because all these years we'd heard that the only way a hospital can manage to control its costs is if it's also a
payvider,
an insurance company, so your provider and a payer.
Yeah.
So the fact that this hospital group, Providence, this health system, is trying to dump its insurance arms, is there some other trend that I'm not aware of in terms of regional health plans? What's the pressure?
No, I think it's a really interesting. It's really interesting because in theory, this stuff makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And of course, Kaiser KP is the gold standard.
Yes.
But let's
and Intermountain too.
The true gold standard, I'm sorry, is still KP because it's been around for like 50, 60 years.
Correct. It's a fully capped system.
Fully capped, fully integrated. But so we're getting to that, right? You have to look at what you're talking about here.
Yeah.
Right? This is not a loosey-goosey operation.
No.
Right? Fully integrated. Every member patient is in the system.
Right.
Right?
It's not taking other insurances.
Right. Multi-state, multi-site, multi-region. I mean, they have, but you're telling me that they just did this overnight? They've perfected this model from a care plan perspective, buying perspective, technology perspective. They're the goal. So now you can't just go replicate that piecemeal.
Right.
So if you look at the Providence plan, it was an Oregon-centric market. But Providence is a multi-state system, right? They're in Oregon, Washington, Hawaii, Alaska.
True.
Like, so this is only in one place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, the truth be told is taking place. 2026, what have we been hearing? Payers are getting their butt kicked.
They are.
Right?
They are.
So you're seeing
But still, they're not losing money. They are.
No, I get it.
Profits are not as
But
growing,
the thing is, those payers we're talking about, they're massive payer companies.
True.
I'm talking about but they're even feeling the pain. But the thing is, they're such massive operations that have the ability to absorb issues.
Some pain, yeah.
Why you think Kaiser's not, even if Kaiser has issues on their health plan, they're able to absorb it because of the sheer buying power, size, scale, and the fact that they're fully integrated.
True,
right?
true.
So now you have somebody who's like, okay, I'm going to do a payer thing, and it's decentralized, it's only in this one market. Now you're facing all those headwinds that we're seeing this year, right? You're seeing medication and pharmacy utilization is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Costs are out of control. GLP-1s, right? Coverage, right?
True.
Compliance costs for payers are like crazy, right?
Right.
So I think it's just reality hitting them. I think, by the way, this is brilliant from Providence. It's smart business. Your provider side is making money.
Yeah.
Why are you going to drag this anchor? Dump it.
Dump it. Who will buy it? It'll be interesting to see who buys it.
I don't even know if there's a buyer or somebody just the national or other plans just pick up those patients, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's like a book of business that just gets decentralized and then
people just pick
it off, right? So I think it's really interesting.
Interesting, okay.
So I think that's the situation, and what this means for the future of providers, yeah, I mean, look, man, they're going to have to take a deep look into like, how are we operating? And basically it's going to end up being, am I able to absorb these costs while I'm generating more volume, revenue, profitability for my provider setting, right? It's kind of a balancing act.
Yeah.
Because a lot of other providers that I've seen, not Intermountains and the KPs of the world, you hear the word provider, and I've worked with some of these and I know some of them really well. Most of them, their health plan side is employee coverage. It's their own employees.
Oh, that doesn't count.
But it's a provider. They're taking their own risk inside.
I get that.
Which is smart.
You can call yourself a self-insured company. That makes more sense.
True, I get it. But I think also what they're doing, to be honest with you, they're trying to prove out their model, right? They're saying, look, if I can go do this with my employees, then the next step, what they do, which I'm a huge fan for, is provider-sponsored plan. Provider-sponsored plan, you do it with your own employees, and then you sit there and go to other corporates, maybe semi-self-insured, and say, look, I can do this for your
population. Yeah.
Because then you know what you're doing? You're protecting your class.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about white collar or blue collar employed individuals.
Right.
Right? If you're just going to open it up to the public, you're going to deal with everything else.
Yeah.
Right? Gig economy, hourly employee workers, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a controlled chaos model, I call it. Right? So
yeah,
I think they're going to have to look at this, because if you can't absorb costs, you can't keep up with compliance. We're going through a little bit of a transition in the payer space. I mean, look at what's happening on the government side. There's a lot of rules, regulations, control, PBM reform coming.
Yeah.
So if you can't compete, you can't absorb the costs, you got to dump it. So I think I give Providence a lot of credit. Dump it. Move on.
Okay. All right, so finally, we come to the most intriguing piece of news. I thought this was so much fun. So I'm going to plug a MedCity news story, which I don't always on our show. So back in January, the state of Utah basically announced, or I think the company working with the state of Utah announced, that they were going to do a pilot by which the refilling of prescriptions, not the original, but the refilling of prescriptions would be handled purely by an AI tool coming out of this company called Doctronic. Doctronic, which bills itself as the world's #1 AI doctor. Okay? So the
self-labeled.
Self-labeled, yeah. I've looked at their website. They have done some research, etc., etc.
Sure.
You know, they seem to have decent people around, but again, this is one person's opinion.
Right.
And I haven't looked super closely into it. But anyway, so what Katie did, not yet, sorry. Let me step back. So this happened in January. Okay. Why are we talking about it in April? Because in like late March, this AI security company who has a lot of researchers out of the UK called MindGuard, they were like, you know what, we're going to have some fun with this. So they go and they said, okay, we're going to, take this AI out for a whirl. And what they did was they tricked the AI, the public AI bot. They tricked it into revealing what its instructions are that govern its behavior.
Oh my God.
And once they tricked the AI to revealing its instructions, they then rewrote the instructions.
So bad.
And made the AI generate some really unsafe clinical guidance. For example, for one prescription, it recommended 3 times the dose. And then it was also recommending methamphetamine. Sorry, I can't even talk today. As a treatment. So meth was being...
You're like laughing.
I'm laughing because it's just so funny. So I'm thinking, wow, right?
Yeah.
This is like so nuts, right? You're running a bot and you don't have any humans involved doing this. All right, so that was a story. It made a lot of headlines. So when we covered the story, Katie went and talked to the CEOs of the
Utah,
company and she talked to the state of Utah as well. And what Doctronic people are saying is that, look, that was a completely different instance, and we are not upset that this research was done. We are aware that these systems can be manipulated, but we have a different instance of this AI tool. It's much more regulated. It is connected with the patient's medical records.
Yeah.
You cannot go beyond the walls, so to speak. The AI can't go crazy. Plus, if there is some anomalous behavior, if there's an anomaly, a human will be involved. So they're saying this is not an apples to apples comparison.
Sure.
You know, I really urge everyone to go read the story because there's so much, you know, that she gets into there. But I think for me, the fundamental question is, where should humans be involved and where should they get out of the way? Now, I was actually invited to moderate a panel by the American Medical Association at South by Southwest, and the CEO was on the panel, and I asked him the question, knowing fully well that the AMA has even issues with pharmacists prescribing. So clearly they will not be a huge fan of, you know, an AI doing
especially when
refills.
the company says I'm the AI doctor.
I know, exactly. So what the CEO said, which I thought was also interesting, was, look, you know, prescription writing, even refilling, should be the domain of physicians because there should be no circumstance, even if you're taking routine medications, where you're not talking with your doctor. And, you know, I don't know, he's a man, he probably didn't think of it, but there are scores of women, that take birth control, where we've probably had one initial conversation with our doctor, we've been taking it for decades, and we never have a discussion since.
Yeah.
So I am totally fine where I don't have to call every time the prescription period is over for, hey, can you please, doc, renew my prescription? So under certain circumstances, I think it's totally okay for AI to do this. What do you think?
Man, he tried to mansplain you.
He didn't try to mansplain.
I'm kidding.
He gave his perspective.
So I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I think AI, from a routine refill perspective, as long as it's in a tight refill window, and it's not going cowboy,
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay. Because let's just be honest. Let's talk about the opposite, like you said.
Yeah.
I'm on a medication that needs to be refilled. Dude, I'm on it for life.
I know.
Why the hell do I need to check in with you? The admin bullcrap in the back end?
Yeah.
Calling, messaging, texting, this. You're just delaying.
Yeah. I mean, if you feel symptoms and things like that in your body's changing, then you reach out and you have a conversation. Your dose gets changed. I get all of that.
But here's the thing. Exactly. But because here's the threshold. Like even the thing that I take, it requires, it's continuous refills till 6 months. And then I have to go get titrated, meaning I have to go get a blood test and stuff.
Yeah.
There you go. It's not going to fill.
Yeah.
They're not going to fill it.
Right. Right.
So low acuity, chronic condition, safe, no reaction, no change in patient behavior.
Yeah.
Those things are going to get reported anyways because the patient's going to be like, hey, this and that or the other.
Yeah.
Let it flow.
Yeah.
Let it flow.
And then I think, again, I'm not, you know, opining that I've checked out Doctronic and, you know, their system is foolproof. But I think that all responsible organizations will have physicians in the mix.
100%.
And they do too.
No, 100%. And if you look at this, I read the article and I did some research. There's 190 formularies, drugs on the list.
On the Utah
It's
thing,
a safe list.
Yeah.
It's a tight system.
Yeah.
It's refills only. It is not free pass.
Yeah.
Okay. And on top of it, to your point, there is a human in the loop outside of all these parameters.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think and then they actually spent thousands of physician hours in reviewing and establishing this before they released it to the public.
Yes, yes.
So it's, I mean, you know what I'm trying to say?
And Katie addresses that. I mean, you know, she went back because I was like, you know, I was editing the story and I was like, Katie, MindGuard did this. Companies saying it's a different instance. Let's go back to MindGuard, the UK researchers, and ask them, like, you know, this is what the company is saying, that you didn't test the exact bot that was on the Utah side. And the response was like, well, we don't know what instance exists or doesn't exist, which I think is fair. No one wants to exactly say that we, you know,
Look, at the end of the day, I mean, you want to break something, a hacker can break anything.
Yeah.
I truly believe that.
No, and I'm glad that these things are happening. We're having these conversations,
You have to pressure test everything.
Yes, yes. Okay? And so kudos to MindGuard for trying
but
that.
Let's just
doing that.
But this is the same thing as like some doc coming into the office or the hospital, had a late night because was charting too much, didn't get enough sleep, did not get the right coffee, titrated a medication and moved the zero over and something happened. Malpractice, this, that, suit. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Right? So my point is, ain't nothing going to be perfect. But if you're talking about safe, low acuity drugs that the physician has signed off on, and there's a approved refill limit list.
Yeah.
Right? Like I manage my mom's condition.
Yeah.
Right? She's got a bunch of medications. Refills are happening. It says at a certain point, it'll sit there and say, hey, refills have a hit.
Yeah.
You need to contact the doctor.
It's annoying.
I mean,
Yeah.
No, but my point is, it's after 3-4.
Yes.
So, but my point is, so keep that intact.
Yeah.
So keep that intact. Now I don't need to pick up the phone and call or message on the app.
Well,
or
I don't understand. If you're saying keep that intact, then it means that you have to do that every 3 months.
After a certain point, right? Now we're talking about a different use case here.
Yeah.
If we're talking about immediate refills.
Yeah.
That's fine. But I think most medications, even if it's low acuity and you're taking it forever.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to have dosage titration. You have to have that happen anyways.
Yeah. I
don't think there's no medication that somebody's prescribed where the dosage is not going to change for 20 years. It's impossible.
So until then, you're okay with AI doing the refills?
Hell to the yes.
Yes. All right. So you're saying let AI rip, essentially.
Let it rip, baby.
All right. Okay. All right. So finally, before we go, just quick reaction from you on that. You saw the federal judge putting a stop on RFK's vaccine regime. So we're back in the limbo of, okay, maybe the old system works. I don't know what the legal ramifications are, but it's on hold. All the things that he had said about Hep B not being universal for children.
I'm so shocked.
You're not shocked. I mean, you know what? But I am surprised. I thought it would be a done deal, but I guess I was naive. Everything is going to be challenged in court.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I'm not shocked because, well, actually, I'm pleasantly optimistically surprised.
Okay. All right. So,
let's just put it that
optimistically surprised. All right. And then the last thing, which I thought was sort of hilarious, but I'm glad it's happening now, is that CMS is finally entering the 21st century.
Oh, yeah.
They just announced a new rule that'll go into the Federal Register at the end of May, by which CMS will no longer, and you heard it here, CMS will no longer accept snail mail or faxes for transactions, for financial for claims, for e-signatures, for signatures. Everything is going to be electronic from now on. So they have phased it out. Covered entities will have 2 years to comply. So May 26, 2028. Wow. 2 years from May.
That's a long time.
Well, I'm sure they're phasing things in, but we're finally in the 21st century.
Dude, I mean, they're going to totally go Office Space. Remember the movie when he goes and like whacks the printer in the back? Yes. There's one world that, I mean, this doesn't apply to them maybe, but like intake on post-acute care, you're still having hospitals have to fax things.
Yes, yes.
I mean, to this day.
So if CMS is taking the lead, maybe the fax is going to finally be out the door, even in other hospitals and other systems.
What is Canon and all these companies going to do? All these fax machines they've been building for all these years.
Well, they will pivot. Anyway, with that, we end the April episode of Debunked. We do snippets of our conversations across social media. So TikTok, X, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook, Insta, we're all on these.
We're not on Truth Social.
Yeah, that's true. We're not on Truth Social. Well, sometimes Truth Social doesn't spread a lot of truth, so I guess we're not on that channel. But we're in these other channels, folks, so please engage with us there. And as always, for email lovers, please write to us at debunked@medcitynews.com.
Or send us a fax.
We don't have facts.
No facts?
No facts.
No facts, sorry.
No facts. All right. Catch you next time.